Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. We've been talking about different kinds of behavior which are appropriate for spiritual seekers. And we call that acharan. And we started with Vaishnava acharan, where you got inspiration, and Vedic acharan, where you cultivated the knowledge of which turned you on. Whatever inspired you, you start to learn about it. Shaiva acharan, the behavior of Shiva, practice. Practice, use your knowledge. Brahmachara, the beloved path, the beloved behavior, which allows us to implement, to utilize that knowledge in our daily lives. Dakshinacharan, which allows us to complete all of the requirements necessary to maintain this body in manifested existence. It means I've done it, I don't have to repeat it. I've got some savings and I've got some, I've earned some karma. In my karma account, there's a balance, and now I get to slow down and reduce my worldly interaction and speed up and increase my spiritual exercises. And then comes Siddhantachar, which we said are the 7 aspects of karma yoga. What we meant by karma yoga was making our minds sit still. And we defined 7 ways to do that, 7 things we can do. And it's called Siddhantachar. We are creating the behavior as enjoined by Scripture, which will bring us to no mind, no me. And that is puja, pat, homa, sangit, nrit, arpan, and pravachan. These 7, worship, recitation of scriptures, sacred fire ceremonies, singing, dancing, explaining what we're doing and why we're doing it, and serving others. And those 7 kinds of behavior of Siddhantachar will bring us to the next type of behavior, Yogachara. And Yogachara means the behavior of union. And that has 3 aspects of samadhi: a bhav samadhi, a shavikalpa samadhi, and a nirvikalpa samadhi. The behavior of union. Bhav samadhi, there's 3 of us. There's a subject, an object, and a relationship. I love you. In Savikalpa Samadhi, there are 2 in existence, I and you. And in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there's only 1. You define which it is. Shivoham, Aham Brahmasmi, or Tat Tvam Asi. It's up to you. It's all you, or it's all me. Or it could be Ardhanarishwara, it's all we. But there's only 1. And remember, in the bhavana, in the attitude, in the intensity of reality of that attitude in which the 3 exist, there are 2 aspects, Salokya and Samipya. Salokya, we are in the same paradigm of reality, and Samipya, we're doing the same karma. You're sending blessings to me, and I am receiving those blessings and giving them right back to you. Of the same attitude, in the same loka, in the same paradigm of reality, we are doing the same activity. In Savikalpa Samadhi, we are, I am, you are. There is Sarup. I'm looking at your form. Your form is the only reality to me. And Sadrishya, my perception, is the only reality. There's form and perception. And in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Sayuchi, there is only union. With union. Sa means with. United with. In union. And so this is the behavior according to the Yogacharan, the behavior of union. From doing behavior according to the Siddhanta, we move into the Bhavana. We move into the paradigm of reality. We move into the completion, the culmination, the perfection of union. And from Yogacharan, the next step, Ashtamam, is Kulacharan. Now, this is defined in many ways according to various different traditions. Kul means a family. And Acharan means behavior of the family. And Kul means excellent. So the behavior of excellence. So the behavior of excellence, the Kulacharan, means sitting in one-pointed samadhi or acting and interacting with the world is performed with the same bhavana. You don't lose your union because you're the bookkeeper. You may lose your balance, but you lose your union. You stay in the bhavana all the time. Whether you're in the bhavana of one-pointed nirvikalpa samadhi, or you come out of that samadhi and you get the privilege of demonstrating how much love is in that samadhi. How much energy is in that samadhi. How much attitude, with a capital A, is in that samadhi. What do you feel when you come out of that samadhi? What do you want to do? You can't just sit here for the rest of your life and say, love, love, love. At some point of time, there's this compelling necessity to get up and do something about it. That you are a lover, okay, that's taken for granted. Now, how are you going to make that love manifest? And that is kulachara. The behavior which makes your love manifest. Whether you're in love in one-pointed union, sitting in Sat Chit Ananda, being absorbed, totally consumed by Nirvikalpa Samadhi and the perfection of union, or whether you're chopping wood or carrying water or doing any of the other tasks that you get to do in order to demonstrate the sincerity and intensity of your love, you stay in the same bhava. And this is called kul acharan, the behavior of excellence. When we study Sanskrit, there are 6 different subjects that we study. 6 primary subjects. And the first is vyakaran. Vyakaran means grammar. Got to know what the words mean. Ucharan means pronunciation. How do you pronounce the words once you know what they mean? Itihas and Sahitya. This is literature and history. Itihas is history, Sahitya is literature, and they're taught as one subject because today, in the modern world, you only know the history by studying the literature. Unless you're sort of like Dhritarashtra narrating the story of the Mahabharata. Otherwise, if you don't have the perception to look back in history, you better just study the literature, and then you'll find out what the history is. And the history and the literature are important to us so that we can understand the context. In what context were these rishis living in the forest and staying in their temple and coming to the mandir every morning and singing and chanting and dancing and studying? And what was the life like so that we can replicate the similar environment of a Gurukul. We can replicate the environment in which the rishis lived and studied and practiced, and so that we could hope to achieve the similar types of realizations, the understanding that they realized, because we are sitting like they sat, we are breathing like they breathed, we're reading the same text, we're pronouncing in the same way, we have the similar understanding of the meaning of the words. Darshan Shastra means philosophy. And we are studying the different steps of philosophy, especially the 7 steps of philosophy, and we'll study them in a little more detail in the future. But primarily we start with Charbak, which says everything that's in my mind came through the senses. And everything my senses saw was a material world. So I only know what my senses tell me. And that is a materialistic philosophy. And from Charbak we come to Nyaya. Nyaya says, wait a minute, I make references and inferences and syllogisms. I have a logical explanation how to put this stuff together and understand it intellectually. That's Nyaya philosophy. And from my Nyaya I come to Vaisheshik and say, well, all I can understand are these atoms tumbling in the vortex of empty space, and here are all these principles that I can deduce from putting the composition of atoms together. And from Vaisheshik we come to Sankhya, and Sankhya says, well, I can understand that in addition to all of this material knowledge, there has to be spirit. In addition to Prakriti, all the nature, I need Purush. A full, complete, and perfect consciousness which is perceiving all of this that is. And from Sankhya philosophy we come to Yoga. And Yoga says, well, the purpose of my life is how I put the two together. How do I understand the union between my Purush and my Prakriti? How do I create this bond of union? And it gives us 2 ways. Purvamimamsha, which means Tantra, which means Bhakti, which means Puja. I'm going to worship you. And Uttarmimamsha, I'm going to become you. Aham Brahmasmi. Oh, now, these are the different steps of philosophy, and we're going to apply those different steps of philosophy to the study of Sanskrit. And remember, we talked about the different levels of meanings of the words. We had Vacharth, which was a dictionary meaning of a word, and then we had Guru Arth, which was the meaning as the Guru explained it to me, and then we had our Sampradaya Arth, our tribe defines in certain ways. We had Darshan Shastrart, according to the school of philosophy through which we are viewing or understanding this world. And then, of course, we had Bhavarth, my feeling about it, my attitude, my understanding. And Swadhyayarth, my own tapasya, my own sadhana. How has that elevated my understanding and broadened my perspective? And then we have the Gupt Arth, where we come to such a realization of the meaning of word. It's hidden deeply inside. I can't even begin to express it outside. I can only sit there in the Sat Chit Ananda. So now we're studying the Akaran, Ucharan, Itihas and Sahitya, and Darshan Shastra. We're also going to look at Jyotish. It's a valid part, a part of the study of Sanskrit. I know many Jyotishis would say, well, this is a science all in its own, but actually there are so many different kinds of Jyotish, and we'll go into that subject on its own. There's Prashna Jyotish, which is predictive astrology. And there's Swabhav Jyotish, which is what is the intrinsic nature or the inclination of an individual. But the one that concerns us most as pujaris in a temple is the calendar. What puja do you do on what day? How come that Upendra came to sing the Ramayana today? This is the day to start the song. Which day do you do which puja for what reason? And so we'll study this branch of astrology, avasya. This is necessary, anivarya. It is, you cannot compromise. It is totally a necessity to study. What day is today? The first thing you're going to say in your puja is Vishnur Om Tat Sat Om Adya Jambudvipe. That's where we are. America Deshe. And then we're going to tell the name of the month, and the name of the day, and the name of the Guru Sampradaya, and the Gotra, and all of these things come into our Sankalpa. You have to know at least enough Jyotish, not that you have to read everybody's palm, but you have to be able to tell what puja do you do on what day, for what reason. And the last one is Padoti. And Padoti is Tantra again. Those tantrics are all alike. They relate everything to Tantra. The weaving of the warp and the woof. Like a cloth. You take the one cloth, it goes this way, and one thread goes this way, and it makes into a tapestry. Padoti is a tapestry. Weaving together all of the various disciplines we just studied. Vyakaran, Ucharan, Itihasa, Itya, Darshan Shastra, and Jyotish, all come together. They're all woven together, and I'm going to weave that with my study of yoga. And I've got Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, and I'm going to weave all of this information together, and I become a tantric. Actually, I'm a weaver. I live in synthesis. I take my thesis, I take my antithesis, and I make a synthesis. And here we are making a synthesis of all our knowledge every day in every action. There is nothing that you can do which is independent from all the other knowledge which you've accrued. You have acquired so many various disciplines. Sit at your computer. You know computer, you know language, you know your function, you know your objective, you've got a plan, you've got a method of implementation. You are weaving together all the various aspects of your knowledge in order to serve Arpana. And this is according to a karyakram, an organization of activity. Karyakram? Huh? Good. An organization of activity is a plan. Damn that word. All these sadhus never give up. It's a plan. An organization of activity is a daily karyakram. And we've organized our activities. I'm going to sit at the puja. The first step is preparation. The second is purification. The third step is invitation. The fourth step is union and offering. I've got these 5 steps I've organized. In order to do the puja at the altar, I've got the same organization that in order to do the puja in my office, in your kitchen, in your whatever we do in life. Puja and this study of Sanskrit. Kri means to do. San means together. Sanskrit is what do we do together? We organize ourselves into an efficient component of society so that we can do all the necessary functions to be efficient, to become sadhus. Sadhus are efficient people. We want to become efficient people. And therefore, becoming efficient people, we organize and define what will be the appropriate actions for me to perform, the conditions precedent to achieving success in whatever that goal may be. I'm not going to define the goal for you. You can define that for yourselves. But the system by which we organize ourselves to achieve that state of efficiency in achieving that goal is the same process for everyone. Pratamang Shailaputricha, Dvitiyang Brahmacharini, Tritiyang Chandaganteti, Kushmandeti Chaturthakam. It's the same crumb. You start with the inspiration, Vaishnavachara, and you take the Vedikachara and you start learning. You practice with Shivachara and you achieve, you implement, you make a plan of implementation with Brahmachara. You reduce your necessity to act. You become so efficient. You can look at it. Recently we went to a hearing of a property dispute in Mysore. The property dispute was somewhere else, and attorneys from different parties came to the judge's chamber, and we all sat with the judge, and the one man started his argument, the other man started his argument, and the judge said, "Stop this! Stop talking! Show me the paper! Show me the paper! Whatever's written on the paper, that's what I'm going to do. Show me the paper." They looked around the room. All the attorneys assembled. No one had the paper. He said, "Get out! Stop wasting my time. You're not organized. I don't care how much fees you get, how much you get for how noble you are and how well respected you are and how important you are in your society. You don't have the paper. Out!" That was fun. The same way. We want to be efficient in our every activity. We're going to plan. What do I need to accomplish this goal? Why am I going there? I'm going to an official place to do an official function. I want to have all of my official papers in order so that I can go in and state the case and show the evidence and walk out having completed the job. Not leaving any loose ends. So Sanskrit study is going to teach us how do you weave, how do you organize not only your spiritual life, but all of life. All of life is spiritual. There is no difference. Everybody says, "Oh, that's my material life. It's okay. I can neglect that. This is my spiritual life. I'm going to spend the rest of my life in the temple." I don't think so. I don't know too many people who can stay in the temple. Everyone has to go out sometime. You better. You're going to make a mess. You got to go. So you might as well organize it so you go on your own terms. You don't get kicked out. You don't leave a mess behind. You want to organize it so you can come and go and make a normal rhythm and a flow. So the study of Sanskrit is going to teach us how do we go in and how do we go out. And you notice every time we've said we're going from the Annamaya coast to the Pranamaya coast to the Manamaya coast, the Vijnanamaya coast to the Anandamaya coast. We also said we're going from the Anandamaya coast to the Vijnanamaya coast, and Vijnanamaya coast to the Manamaya coast, and from the Manamaya coast to the Pranamaya coast, and from the Pranamaya coast we come to the Annamaya coast. Because the avenues of ingress and egress both require efficiency. You've got to go in and out, and in and out. That's spiritual. It's all spiritual. What you do outside is share the love that you find inside. What you do inside is reprocess all the feelings that you got from the outside. You just keep churning it, making it pure, and giving the best you can, and taking what's needed and converting it into what is desirable. So the study of Sanskrit has 6 subjects. Now, there are 7 meters of Sanskrit. And these 7 meters are mathematical formulas for regulating your breath. They are mathematical formulas for regulating your mind. And we have a very famous form of pranayam. There are many, many different kinds of pranayam. We'll discuss that later in the section of yoga. But today, I want to remind you that there's a formula called 1-4-2. That means 1 mantra is the inhalation, 4 mantras is the retention, and 2 mantras is the exhalation. And that means, we call that Purak, Kumbhak, Rechak. Purak, Kumbhak, Rechak. And there's a rhythm. It's a mathematical formula. If you can do 1-4-2, then you can certainly do 2-8-4. You could even do 4-16-8. And then you make the mantra longer until you are no longer there. And that's how each of these chandos works. So we have Gayatri Chandas. The first one, it has 24 syllables to the verse. Ushnup, Anushtup, Drihati, Punkti, Trishtup, Jagati. These are the 7 meters of Sanskrit which take you through the 7 levels of heaven. From the Purva Ashwa Mahajanatava Satyam. They take you with 24 syllables to 28 syllables and 28 syllables to 32 syllables per verse. From 32 syllables to 36 syllables, and from 36 syllables to 40 syllables, from 40 syllables to 44 syllables, and then we get to 48 syllables, and probably you are no longer there. And these are the rhythms of Sanskrit and how they work. If you can do the 1-4-2 in all of your japa, well, let's just try it for one moment. Let's start with the Panchakshars mantra. It says, Om Namah Shivaya. And we'll inhale, Om Namah Shivaya. And we'll retain Sittanasana. Om Namah Shivaya. And we'll exhale, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Inhale, Om Namah Shivaya. Retain. And exhale, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Inhale, Om Namah Shivaya. Retain. Exhale, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Let's change the mantra. Let's do the Gayatri. Om Bhurvasvat Tatsavitur Bharenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimaki Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvat Tatsavitur Bharenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimaki Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. You can see very quickly what's going to happen to us. We get submerged in the rhythm according to the mathematical formulas of Sanskrit. And when that becomes the regular pattern of our breathing, the space between the mantras is equal to the space between the thoughts. And pretty soon, we can become quite thoughtless. We enter into that samadhi, where all is the measurement of mind. mind is the measurement of all. All we have to do is inhale the divinity and keep it inside, and exhale the divinity and let it all hang out. That will be our contribution. So our path of sound begins with Shabda Brahman. It's the sound of God, the infinite sound of the universe. It's the sound that only God can hear. And that Shabda Brahman, that sound of God, becomes a bindu. Look in the center of your yantra. There is the one point of creation, the one point from which all has emanated, the bindu. And it's the first point of sound from which all has become manifest. Bindu manifests itself as nad. Nad is the subtle body of sound. You can't hear it outside, you only hear it inside. And the nad, it's the subtle vibration. The bij is the closest approximation to the nad that can be spoken. So now we've got some akshars. Remember, kshara means infinite. And akshara means limited. It is the qualified infinite vibration. The qualification of the infinite vibration. So the bija, it takes the akshars and it puts them together and says, this is the closest audible vibration to the spoken word to the vibration of the subtle sound. And then shabda becomes an audible sound when you put the bijas together. It makes a word. And the word has a meaning. And the mantra is the sound which takes away your mind. It's the meaning of how do you go back from the shabda to the bija, from the bija to the nada, and from the nada to the bindu into shabda Brahman. Now there are two forms of shabda, two forms of words. There are Vedic sabdas, which are the words which express the wisdom of unity. And there's Bhautika sabda. And Bhautika sabda are the words which describe the world outside. Now, we have an opportunity. You've got two forms of words. As much as you contemplate this Bhautika Shabda and think about the world outside, then you're in the world. But if you are able to think about Vedic Shabda and the words which bring you back to this bhava of unity, you go from the Vedic Shabda, the words of wisdom, of unity, to the mantra, and the mantra to the bija, and the bija to the nad, and the nad to the bindu, and the bindu to the shabda Brahman. This is the path of involution. We're ceasing to work outside and coming inside and rejuvenating ourselves. And let's see, what did he write? Controlling your worldly descriptions. Dissolve all the sounds into the wisdom of union. That's the Vedic sabda. Letting go of all the thoughts, contemplate the audible expression of the subtle vibration. That's the nad, or that's a bija. Becoming more and more subtle, go through the nad into the bija, into the bindu. Enter into the bindu from where the first point of sound is made manifest, and from the bindu merge into the sound of God and the infinite sound of the universe. We're going to go both directions, remember that. We're going to take the worldly noise, all the chatter, and stop it. Right now, that's enough worldly gossip. I hear enough of that outside the gates of the Devi Mandir. I don't have to listen to it inside the gates of the Devi Mandir. Now, take all the rest of the sound that you hear and make it Vedic Sabda. These are words of wisdom, and the wisdom that will bring me to unity. Take the words that bring me to the wisdom of unity, Vedic Sabda, and put it into mantra. Mantrayate. Blow your mind. Take the mantras and move them into the bija, which is the audible expression, the approximation, the closest thing that can be said of the nad. And you move from the bija to the nad, which is the subtle body of sound that you can only hear inside, and you move from the nad into the bindu, and the bindu into Shabda Brahman. And that's the sound that God hears. That's why we spend so much time learning. How do you chant these mantras? Why do you chant these mantras? What do they mean to us? How can I think about this mantra more and more and more? And because I come from Shabda Brahman, the sound that God hears, and I enter into the bindu. And from the bindu, that one spark, that one point where creation emanates. From whence creation hath emanated. From the bindu, I move into the nad, and from the nad, in the subtle body of sound, I move into the bij, which is the closest audible expression of what is that subtle vibration. Remember, the Rishi said wisdom is aim, and they said creation is hrim, they said transformation is klim, they said the infinite beyond conception is om. They said respect is shrim, and that's also the highest wealth. They said these are the closest audible expressions of the subtle vibrations of these phenomena. If you can learn the bhava, the feeling, the attitude of the subtle vibration and express it, then you can move into that vibration. You can control that vibration within yourself. You get the switch to turn it on. And Mom wanted to put the switch here, but I always had it over here. I know, it's probably a little late to redecorate this Swami. I need a little remodeling job. You take the mantras and you chant the mantras, which are words of wisdom, and you let those words of wisdom permeate into your Bautika Shabda, and you take that wisdom, that vibration, that attentiveness, that efficiency, and you put it into every action that you perform, and you are sadhu. That is the path of sound. You control your worldly talking and talk about wisdom and think about wisdom, and you take the wisdom and you put it into mantra. You take the mantra and you put it into bija. You put the bija into nada. And you put the nada into the bindu, and the bindu into the Sabda Brahman. And then you take the Sabda Brahman, the sound of God, and you put it into the bindu, and you take it out of the bindu and put it into the nada, which is a subtle vibration of all creation. And you take the nada and you put it into the bija, and you take the bija and put it into mantra, and you have Vedic Sabda, which are the words of wisdom, and now you're ready to go into the world. And share your love, and share your wisdom, and share your inspiration, and make the world a better place because of your having been here. And that's how we deal with the efficiency of being a sadhu. We take it in and we take it out, and we learn from the Annamaya Kosh to the Pranamaya Kosh to the Manamaya Kosh, the Vijnanamaya Kosh, and the Anandamaya Kosh. And from the Anandamaya Kosh to the Vijnanamaya Kosh, and from the Vijnanamaya Kosh to the Manamaya Kosh, and the Pranamaya Kosh to the Annamaya Kosh, and we bring it in, we bring it out. In every meditation technique that we will learn, you want to bring it in and bring it out. The purpose is, Ishopanishad says, from life in the world we overcome death, and through meditation we achieve immortality. You can't do only one. We are required, we are compelled to wear these human bodies. And nobody invited us, nobody asked us, would you like to go down and manifest now? No! They said, your time has come. I want you. You were drafted. Nobody sent you an invitation. There was a draft, you got called up. Okay, time to go down to earth and manifest as a human being. Ad nauseum. So now that we're here, we have only a few options available to us. Only a few options available. There are not a whole lot of options that we have. They didn't give us a lot of latitude. You can either be for me or you can be for we. You can either think about yourself all the time, poor me, or you can think about what can I give to thee. Those are the options. Now, how do I make my contribution? I go in and find the jewel and I come out and share the jewel. Now, I can't go into each and every one of you and tell you what your jewel looks like. It is not possible. I wish it were, but it doesn't work that way. Each of us must go find our own jewels and gems. And you go to the ocean of purity, and in the ocean of purity is this island of jewels. And you go to the island of jewels and you see the Mani Mandap, there's a temple of jewels. In the courtyard is the Kalpavriksha, and the tree gives forth all the fruits of all the karma that you would want to harvest. And next to the tree is the throne of jewels. Wow! Every meditation technique of all these pujas, of all of these outlines, they're taking us to the same jewel, the same gem, the same treasure. And they're saying, go in, discover the treasure, and then come on out and share it. Every one of these techniques, whether it be from the koshas, or whether it be from the study of Sanskrit, or whether it be the 7 levels of consciousness, or whatever technique you're using, whether you're studying the yantra, whether you're studying the mantra, whether you're studying the tantra, it's all the same. We're going inside on a treasure hunt. You're looking for that one gem, that one jewel, that one sampati, that true wealth that I can share with the world. And that makes us sadhus. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Let's see if there are any questions tonight. Yes, please.
We have a question from Nanda in San Jose.
Namaste, Nanda Maha.
When I do pranayam for silent japa, it seems natural after a complete exhalation to be in that completely exhaled state for a few moments before the next inhalation. Yet we do not have a count for that, for the state of complete exhalation. Can you please tell me if I'm doing it wrong, if I stay in the completely exhaled state for even a few moments, or is that okay?
That's more than okay, Nanda. That's with the one that doesn't count. You don't have to count it. It counts you. It's just the natural bhavana. And it doesn't, you don't want to force it. You don't want to count it. You just want to experience. That's the place where you get to be rather than control. So in pranayam, we've got the yam, the control of the prana, the life force, also known as the breath. So here you are controlling, and when you've exhaled it all out, and there's nothing more left to control, then rejoice. Your job is done until you have to breathe again. For some of us, it's sooner, and for others, it's later. Sooner or later, you may want to take another breath, and then it starts all over again. Pranayam. Other questions, please.
I have a question.
Please.
How do we make the study of history part of our sadhana? Do we read some of the Puranas every day?
Absolutely. And there, I even wrote the Swami Purana. That was a good story book. And there are plenty of storybooks and itihas. You can read this. I gave him a book of philosophy and a book of philosophy and history. I have several books on history that are very inspiring. Tell you about how did the rishis live and where did they go and what did they do? What was their daily life like? What was the rhythm of life so that they could come to the realization that I want to make this place a better world because of my having been here. We are saying these mantras because in the year 2013, a group of devotees is going to congregate at the Devi Mandir, and they're going to want to know, how do they control their minds? And that's why we're writing this down. They wrote it so succinctly. It just says it so clearly in the text. We're writing these mantras for you guys because we know you're going to have questions, and this is what we did in order to resolve our issues. This is what you can do in order to resolve your own. So definitely study the Puranas. Definitely read the history books. Definitely, as much knowledge as you get, so great does your inspiration grow. I knew how those sadhus lived. I knew what they wanted. I knew, Mama can tell you how Ramakrishna ate his breakfast. What did he have for, she knew it so, and she didn't read the book. She wrote the book. In fact, I didn't get this way for nothing. I ate the prasad. She can tell you how she liked his breakfast cooked. And she never cooked for me yet. All these years she never cooked for me. She always cooked for Shiva. And she cooked for Ramakrishna. And she gave me a little prasad. It's been a long time too. I'm still waiting for a meal for me. Yes, please.
We have another question from Nanda.
Yes, Nanda Ma.
Is there any technique to watch our breath or consciously change the breath rhythm when we are dealing with others and we are agitated?
Yes! Yes, there is, Nandama. And the first thing is, I'd like to call your attention to the Kashyap Sutras. I believe it was Sutra number 4, in which we gave a list of positive mantras and negative mantras with which you can gain control of your inclinations and your impulses. And try to localize and feel where is that emotion coming from and get control of it. So you will want to do japa of the negative quality, so you get control of it, and the positive quality so that you replace it. And you can do that if you're in the moment, then you probably can't sit down and do pranayam, but you can certainly do internal japa. And if anybody says, why aren't you responding to me? What are you doing? You just say, I'm thinking about what's the appropriate response. That's not anything wrong. You can close off for a few moments in every circumstance and gain control of yourself. Now, there are various forms of pranayam that you can do if the circumstances allow you to. Gain control of your emotion and gain control over your responses. So you put an interlude between the stimulus and the response. I don't want to respond immediately and create a bigger mess for myself. That's not going to help. Let me stop and think about what will be the appropriate response. Now, the first criteria is, what do I want to happen here? What's my goal? What's my objective? Why am I here arguing with you in the first place? Do I want to prove that I'm smarter than my boss? Probably not. Do I want to prove that I'm not going to take any crap from you? Depends who signs the checks. There will be some criteria that goes into the response. So stop a minute and think and give the appropriate response. It is better to give no response at all than to give the wrong one. Because if we give the wrong response, we're going to be cleaning up the mess for a long time to come. I don't think there are enough carpets in the Devi Mandir to hide all the mess that we will accumulate if we give the wrong response. You can't just sweep it under the carpet. So therefore, it's important to stop a minute and think. What do I want to get from this? I can see this is not a good situation. How do I make it better? How can I improve that? Remember, there are 4 tools of diplomacy. Sam, Dam, Danda, Bhed. 4 tools of diplomacy. We come as equals. Let's look for trades. What can we... I'm a Vaishya. What do you got to trade? What do you want from me? And what's it going to cost me? Dhamma, you are certainly superior. Oh, what can I possibly give you so that your grace will fall upon me? Little old me. Here's a little bribe. Here's a bigger one. What's it going to take in order to resolve this situation? Bhed means, how can I sow dissension between you and the big boss? How can I separate you from your allies? Is there anything I can do to throw you off balance so that I have a better negotiating position? And Danda means, all right, as a last resort, put them up. Let's go ahead and fight about it. Sama, Dhamma, Danda, Bhed. Those are the 4 tools of diplomacy. Now, observe your circumstances and observe the situation, and please don't respond immediately, because you'll end up in the Danda immediately, where there were so many other things that you could have tried first. Yes, please.
We have a question from Elijah.
Namaste, Elijah.
Do the separate meters of Sanskrit have different uses? Are some meters better for some things than others?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you'll find that in every scripture, especially modern Sanskrit, you're going to find something, most of the text or the narrative is done in Anushtup Chanda. These are perfect for the narrative of the story. You'll find that many are the songs that are written in Trishtup Chanda, like chapter 4 of the Chandi, or chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. You'll find that many of the meters have specific functions of utility, and they're most often employed in that. Most of modern Sanskrit, what we call modern Sanskrit, is from the Puranas forward, as contrasted with Vedic Sanskrit, which is from the Puranas backwards. Then most of modern Sanskrit uses Anushtup Chanda for the narrative. Oh, yes, please.
You oftentimes take us from koshas to the Anandamaya kosh.
Yes.
Do we? It just
nice
seems,
place to hang out.
Right. It seems like it would be conducive to use a mantra to lead us through there, or is this just a visualization? Do you ever use mantra to? Absolutely,
we use mantra. We use mantra. We do it sagarba with mantra, bigarba without mantra. Just say the name of the Annamaya Kosha and you know you're in the gross body. And say the name of the Pranamaya Kosha and you know where you're at. Say the name of the Manamaya Kosha, the Jnanamaya Kosha. And you can just say the names of the streets where you're going to turn on the way from Napa to the Devi Mandir. And you can make the journey in your mind. So yes, you can do it Sagarbha with mantra, or you can do Bigarbha without mantra. Right now we are practicing the Bigarbha because I'm calling out to you the signpost. I'm giving to you a roadmap. How do you go to the Moni Dweep? How do you get there? What's the first step? I'm ready. Where'd I put the foot down? The journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Now, where do you put the first step? So right now we're looking at this Tattva Gyan as a roadmap, as a series of roadmaps. What do I need to know in order to practice all of these various forms of meditation, to empower ourselves with these various techniques that I can weave together and empower myself so that we can make the journey when we're ready. Anytime the world says, hey, you useless being, I don't need you for an hour or two, I can say, wow, I qualify to go inside. Now I know just where I want to go because the world says I'm useless. I'm going inside. And I know how to get there. Step by step. I've got the path, I've got the map memorized. I don't need a GPS. I don't need a destination lady. Who's your destination lady? What's your name? That lady in the car?
Siri.
No, Siri's the new lady. In the olden days, the first GPS that came out, there was another destination lady. I don't even know her name. She used to call up, turn left in 1 mile. Now you've got all these sexy ladies and foxy voices. Voices crying out in the wilderness. Yes, please.
Is a conversation about God or Guru, or a conversation about serving God or Guru, is that Bautik Shabda or Vedic Shabda?
It is Vedic so far as it's objective. As soon as it becomes subjective, and objective means it's about her, and subjective means it's about me. As soon as it's about me, forget it, kids. You're out. It's Bautika. As long as it's about thee, it's objective knowledge. It's about how do devotees serve the Guru. It's not about what a good job I did in serving the Guru. As soon as it's about me, it's Bautika. As long as it's about how do we as devotees come together as a family and serve our Guru, then these are words of wisdom that unite the whole family in one focus. It's part of our functions as clergy. We're trying to grab the attention of all the congregation and focus it on God. That is not subjective, talking about me. That's talking about how can we unite in going closer to God. So those are words of wisdom. Now, didn't I do a good job? That's not so wise. Not a good thing to think about. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.